بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So, we've covered all the heavy stuff in Hajj, the ones that need a lot of comparative fiqh. Even though this is a primary introductory course, I still think that when it comes to fiqh, we should talk about more than one opinion and issues that are important, that matter a lot, like Hajj, because Hajj is so dynamic and it's a difficult time, and we need to know as much as we can possibly know about it in terms of our practice, so that we don't end up harming ourselves or others when we do Hajj. So we had talked about the wajibat al-Hajj, the obligations or the obligatory actions of Hajj. The Imam in Abu Shuja in his matn, he misses a few. So he missed al-Mabit in Muzdalifah, he put it in the Sunan, and I talked about that. And he also missed al-Mabit bi Mina. Al-Mabit bi Mina, which is spending the night in Mina during the nights of after Yawm al-Nahr, after the 10th day. So the night after the 10th day, and the 11th and 12th and 13th night, those nights you sleep, you spend the night in Mina. And it's a wajib for the Jamhur, even the Shafi'iyya, even though the Imam Abu Shuja did not put it in his matn as one of the wajibat, he put it as a sunnah. But the truth of the matter, the reality is that it is a wajib, except the Hanafiya. The Hanafiya don't see it as a wajib, they see it as a sunnah. Now, how much are you supposed to spend in Mina? القدر الواجب, sorry, أكثر الليل. So you have to spend most of the night, so more than half of the night. So if you spend 51% of the night in Mina, and then you've done the wajib. If you don't do that, then you have to make up for it with blood, yani with a fidya, with hadi. As we talked about. So I'm going to put up the wajibat now, the updated version of wajibat based on what we studied in the matn, and what the matn also missed in terms of what is the prominent position for the Shafi'iyya at least. So So the obligatory actions. So what's the first one that we talked about? Yeah. So al-ihram min al-miqat. So doing ihram from the miqat. After that, rami al-jamarat al-thalath. Throwing the 3 jamarat, right? After that, so this is what he missed. He put al-Mabit Muzdalifah. He put this as a sunnah, even though it's a wajib for the Shafi'iyya, something he missed in the matn, rahimahullah. And then he puts halq, even though halq for the Shafi'iyya is a rukn. So there's a few mistakes that the Imam rahmatullah alayhi made in terms of putting together the wajibat. And the another one that he missed was al-Mabit bi Mina. Alright, if you remember, I made a small graph last time. I told you, just to make it quick, that you're in, this is the haram. Alright. Here's Sa'i, this is the Masjid al-Haram, right? So you go to Arafah over here. You stand in Arafah, there's the mountain of mercy. Or this is where you stand today. And then you walk over to Muzdalifah. And over here is Mina, and in this area here is al-Jamarat. So what you do is you stand in Arafah, you spend the night at Muzdalifah, and then you go and you throw the Jamarat, and then you go to Mina. And then you come back to Jamarat to spend the next day, and you go back to Mina, and then you come do Tawaf al-Ifada, and then you go back to Mina, and then from there you go. You leave, or you do Tawaf al-Wada, and then you leave. Alright, so this is the basic breakdown without too much detail. Geographically, this is as close as I can make it for you, inshallah. So Mina is another area that you go to, and it's wajib for the Shafi'iyya, even though the Imam didn't have it in his matn, right? It's in Mabit bi Mina is wajib. How much should you stay in Mina for the night? Most of the night. Yani more than 50% of the night, and then you can leave. If you don't, it's a wajib, so you just make up for it with blood. Yani with Isha. Okay. So now we're going to move on to Sunan al-Hajj. Alright, so Sunan al-Hajj sab'a. And we talked about that last time, but I just want to repeat this so that it's clear inshallah to everyone. Sunan al-Hajj. So the recommended actions of Hajj. So the first one is ifrad, and I explained what ifrad was last time. And it's doing Hajj only, no Umrah, just doing Hajj. Right? And if you do it, that's the best thing, just do Hajj. And do Umrah later. When you're done Hajj, totally done Hajj, you're finished everything, go do Umrah. Qiran means you do Hajj and Umrah. You consider the tawaf that you do is a tawaf for Hajj and Umrah. The sa'i that you do is sa'i for Hajj and Umrah, and the halq that you do is halq for Hajj and Umrah. And you owed blood just by the default of doing that. Bil ijma' with all scholars. You can do that if you know that you're not going to have enough time to do Umrah later, or you're someone who lives far away, like in a different continent, you're not going to make it back. Tamattu' is when you go Umrah, you stay in Mecca. You don't leave Mecca. And then you make ihram from Mecca and do Hajj. You're not from Mecca, you should have done ihram from al-miqat, right? You should have done ihram from al-miqat, you're not from Mecca. But you do ihram from Mecca because you just stayed there. So since you didn't do ihram from al-miqat, that means you missed an obligatory action, so you owe blood too. And that's called tamattu' bil Hajj. I mean, you do Umrah, you stay in Mecca until Hajj, you do Umrah during the months of Hajj, yani Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah. Then you do Hajj, you do ihram for Hajj from Mecca, you don't leave. That means you didn't do ihram from miqat, so you owe blood. Okay, but so the sunnah is to do ifrad, where you just go for Hajj. You forget about Umrah, do Umrah later if you have time. Just do it for Hajj. Al-ifrad. The second sunnah for Hajj is وسنن الحج سبع. الإفراد هو تقديم الحج على العمرة, doing Hajj before Umrah. If you do Umrah, you do it later. والتلبية لبيك اللهم لبيك. Right? وطواف القدوم. وطواف القدوم. At the end we'll talk about the three types of tawaf. There's a tawaf that is a rukn, a tawaf that is a sunnah, and a tawaf that is a wajib. With difference of opinions, we'll talk about them inshallah yani at the end.
Which one is this?
So this is tawaf al-qudum, when you first come. The moment that you come, before, let's say you come to Mecca, you come for Hajj, you come the 9th of the 8th. So before Arafah is the 9th day, you come on the 8th. So the moment you come, you go do tawaf as a, it's like tahiyat al-masjid for the masjid, for tawaf, and then you go to Arafah. So this is a sunnah if you do it. He adds, he calls it Mabit Muzdalifah, but we already agreed that Mabit Muzdalifah is a wajib, it's a mistake that's in the matn or something. I don't like the word mistake, I don't mean that it's just a different opinion that he had at the beginning, that the Shafiee later on changed in their prominent position. وَرَكَعْتَا الطَّوَافِ. So when you do tawaf, to the 2 rak'ah of tawaf, when you're finished doing tawaf around the Kaaba, you should go look for Maqam Ibrahim and do 2 rak'ah. That's what you're supposed to do. It's sunnah for the Shafi'iyya. Why is that important? Because the other madhahib see it as a wajib. So it's something essential. The Shafi'iyya only see it as a sunnah, so if you don't do it, there's nothing that you have to do. Al-Mabit bi Mina. And we already agreed that Al-Mabit bi Mina is a wajib, right? And the final one, tawaf al-wada'. So there's a tawaf that's done at the end. And this is one more that needs to be, I didn't talk about this last time. This is the last one that needs to be moved over here. So here, the last one is tawaf al-wada'. Only the Malikiyya see this one to be sunnah. It's the tawaf at the end. Before you leave, you're done everything. Halq, taqsir, you're finished Hajj. Everything is done. You're going to leave Mecca. You're going to leave Mecca, go tawaf and leave. Right? So that's
different than tawaf al-ifada?
Yes, tawaf al-ifada or tawaf al-ziyarah. It's called tawaf al-ziyarah. Why? Because you're spending the night in Mina. So you go, you visit Mecca, the Haram. You do tawaf and you come back. So it's called tawaf al-ifada or ziyarah. You field from Mina or Muzdalifah even if you want to, and then you go back. So you're still in the midst of Hajj. You're going from here to here or to here, going back and forth. So tawaf al-qudum is when you first get there. Tawaf al-wada' is when we're leaving on our way out, and tawaf al-ifada is here. So this one here, we take this one out. Even that's what the Imam has there. Only the Malikiyya see it to be sunnah. Everyone else sees a wajib. Again, this is another thing that the Imam Abu Shuja put in his matn that goes against the prominent position of the Shafi'iyya. Alright, so what do we have? How many tawafs do we have so far? Yeah, so we have 3 types of tawaf. First one, rukn, which is tawaf al-ifada or tawaf al-ziyara. Or al-ziyara. Alright, and that is done in the midst of Hajj. So we stand here on the 9th during the daytime. We go here on the 9th during the night time. Right? We go here on the 10th day. Here we go 10th night. And then we come back here 11th day. 11th night. And then we come here 12th day. 12th night. Right? We're going back and forth. So this is done in the midst of going back and forth to Hajj. 13th day in Jamarat or in Mina. 13th night. Going back. So we're going back and forth, right? So Tawaf al-Ifada or Ziyarah in the midst of Hajj is a rukn. For how many madhahib? 1 or 2 or all of them? What is it? All of them. Hanafi only have 2 rukn, right? Arafah and Tawaf, that's it. So Tawaf al-Ifada is one of the highest arkan, the pillars that we have for Hajj. The second one is a wajib. Which one is that one? Wada. When you're ready to go home. Literally when you've made the decision that I'm leaving Mecca, khalas, I'm going back home, go make tawaf and leave. Alright? With difference of opinions of when you can do it. Whether you can do it, whether you have to do it during Ayyam al-Tashriq, meaning the 11th, 12th, 13th, or if you can do it after. There's a difference of opinion. I'm not going to get into it because it's too detailed. But some scholars say you can do it later. The last one is Sunnah, and that is Tawaf al-Qudum. So you have 3 types of Tawaf in Hajj. Right? You have 3 Tawafs.
So the Tawaf al-Ifada, that can be done only on the 13th or on the...
No, it can be done anytime. We talked about it a bit before. Anytime after midnight of the 9th day, after the midnight of Yawm al-Nahr. So anytime after midnight for the Shafi'iyya and the Hanabila, and the Fajr of the 10th day for the Hanafi and the Malikiyya. Anytime after that you can do it. Anytime after that.
So basically when you go to Mina
after you're done Arafah. All you have to make sure is done before it is Arafah. You can't do Tawaf al-Ifada before Arafah, that's it. But usually people do it like that. I'm telling you how it usually happens. But you can, if you understand Hajj in detail, there's a lot of different variations. You can do things in different times, there's no problem. But I'm giving you what usually goes down in terms of the time that you have and doing it, not getting too tired. So, but Tawaf al-Ifada can be done, you finished standing in Arafah, so you stood in Arafah all day until the midnight. And you go to Muzdalifah for like for 5 minutes, you can immediately go and do Tawaf al-Ifada. A lot of people do it like that, but that is literally the busiest time to go do Tawaf. Like the busiest time ever. You don't want to do it, you want to wait until the bitter end when things kind of come down a bit. Okay. I'm going to talk about 2 things. I'll read a bit and then I'll talk about Tahallul al-Asghar and Tahallul al-Akbar. That's all that's left really in terms of things that aren't in the matn that are important for you to know regarding Hajj. So we'll continue reciting the matn. He says, وَيَتَجَرَّدُ الرَّجُلُ عِنْدَ الْإِحْرَامِ مِنَ الْمَخِيطِ وَيَلْبَسُ إِزَارًا وَرِدَاءً أَبْيَضَيْنِ. So the man, when he does ihram, when you do ihram from the miqat, what do? You take off anything that has sewn in fabric. That is stitched up like this, that has different. So min al-makhit. وَيَلْبَسْ إِزَارًا وَرِدَاءً. You just wear just a plain piece of fabric, one for the upper part of the body and one for the lower part of the body. And that's what you see people wearing, the 2 white abiyadain that are white. So this is what you see everyone. If you've done Umrah, you know what I'm talking about. If you've watched people do Umrah, it's just two towels basically that you one around your pelvis and one to cover your from your navel to your knee, and the other one you put on your shoulders or you have it around your neck. So and that's for men. Of course, women, that's not for women. Women wear makhit, they wear regular clothing and everything. They follow us only in other stuff, but when it comes to clothing, they wear their clothing. وَيَحْرُمُ عَلَى الْمُحْرِمِ 10 أَشْيَاء. There are 10 things that are haram for the muhrim. If you make ihram, the moment you say, يعني نويت الحج, I've made the intention of Hajj, you take off what you're wearing and you wear the clothing. Now there are 10 things that are haram for you to do until you do tahallul. Tahallul means you relieve yourself from this ihram. Meaning you leave the state of being muhrim, being someone in a state of, what does muhrim mean? Ahrama means you've dedicated yourself to God. So now you're dedicated. You've dedicated yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you're in a stance or in a status of dedication to Allah. When you're finished that dedication, you can go back and do, continue your normal activities. But during the time of dedication, when you're muhrim, there are certain things that are not allowed to do. So the 10 things, we'll talk about the 10 things inshallah. So these are clear. I'll take these down inshallah if they become clear. Yes.
The cloth of the ihram, is it like it says that it has to be unstitched, but does it also have to be like white color?
Yes, it has to be white too. Yeah, so there's no other color for it to be. It has to be white. All right. So these are called mahdhurat al-ihram. That's what they're called. Mahdhurat al-ihram. So these are the things that are haram for someone, the state of ihram, someone who is beginning his hajj. So what's the first one? قال لبس المخيط. So wearing, what is the translation for it in the book?
Wearing stitched.
So stitched, so stitched garments. So stitched clothing. Anything that has like more than one fabric. So it's not just one piece of fabric. There's like different things that go into it. Yes.
I was listening to Yasser Qadhi and his explanation, and he thinks that stitch is the bad translation because technically all fabric is stitched.
Yeah.
But if the clothing wraps all the way around, so it's closed, it's a problem.
So because the only way for a fabric to be like that is to be stitched. Meaning no fabric comes in the form of a circle. They come in as a piece that is a horizontal piece. Then if you're gonna close it, then you have to stitch it up. So that's what they mean by stitched. Yeah. So because a towel is a towel that's not played with at all, just a piece of fabric that's unstitched. It's in its normal state. Now if you start making it so that you put stitches into it so you. Yeah, well that's why not any towel is okay. That's why ihram is specific. So ihram is like what they make for you is specific. It doesn't have that. Yeah.
Maybe a better translation is an enclosed garment.
Maybe enclosed. Yeah.
Technically means that the fabric closes, so that's why sleeves and pant legs.
Yeah, that's fair too. Yeah, socks. No too. Yeah, no socks. Yeah. So what's the problem? You have to wear socks.
It's hot anyways. Doesn't matter. Don't need it.
تغطية الرأس من الرجل. Why am I writing this in Arabic? Let's write this. So لبس المخيط. Wearing stitched or closed clothing. Either way, it's, I understand the idea here. Covering the head for a man. That's for a male. And the face for a female. So she doesn't cover her face in Hajj, a female. She doesn't. So if she's muntaqiba, she doesn't. So if she's muntaqiba, she can't walk around with a niqab. Now there are certain opinions that say she can do it if there's fitna, and then she can slaughter sheep and whatnot. And I don't see the point of all this. I don't think there's a lot of fitna in Hajj. I hope so. I hope not. And this, obviously, with the way the world works, I don't believe that that's the place people are going to, to look for haram. But anyways, it's haram for a woman to cover her face during Hajj. There's a lot of discussion regarding that. But this is something that all the madhahib are okay with. But it's not a Shafiee. Everyone's like that.
What is the evidence for that? Is there like hadith?
Oh yeah, there's evidence. The Prophet ﷺ said, Hadith Rawah al-Bukhari, وَلَا تَنْتَقِبُوا المرأة ولا تلبس القفازين, and the woman does not تنتقب, she does not cover her face and doesn't wear gloves. So it's a part of the hadith. Imam Bukhari, it's a long hadith where the Prophet says the muhrim, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, which is where we got the evidence for all the stuff that we're going to talk about. After this is kind of a tarjil ash-sha'r, so combing your hair. Now the logic behind this is that if you do that, some hair will fall out. So if you're someone who sheds a lot of hair, then don't comb your hair vigorously. But if you wake up one day and your hair is in every direction, you can put your fingers through to make it look acceptable. But the idea is combing vigorously, your hair, a lot of hair will fall out, and you don't want to do that. During ihram, you don't touch. So that's why tarjil ash-sha'r is seen like this. Go ahead.
They say don't apply oil either.
Yeah, and don't apply anything. Yeah, you don't. Obviously, you're not going to put anything.
This is the meaning of it.
Yeah, obviously. Halquhu, cutting your hair. So that's ihram. Ihram, you're allowed to cut your hair. Hold on, let's finish them and then let's finish. Taqlimul adhafir, cutting nails or trimming your nails. Wat-tib, fragrances, hunting animals. Sorry, hunting animals. Qatl as-sayd, which is like actually getting. Aqd al-nikah. Aqd al-nikah is getting married or doing a aqd of marriage, signing a marriage contract for yourself, obviously. Signing a marriage contract. Wal-wat'u wal-mubasharatu bi-shahwa. Sexual intercourse. And any form of sexual foreplay. Okay. So any form of sexual foreplay is haram.
Also, like avoid even kissing.
Yes. Yeah. So for when you look at what the muhrim can't do. So what do they all have in common? Look at them. So you can't wear the regular clothing that you wear. You can't add any garments, meaning so you can't wear regular garments. You can't add adornments in terms of fragrances and oils and whatnot. You can't cut your hair. You can't cut your nails. You can't hunt animals. So basically, there's this leaving everything that is natural as it is, and coming in the most humble and simple form that you can come in. You're just wearing two pieces of cloth. These cloth haven't been played around with at all. They're just fabric, just two pieces of fabric. They weren't stitched or worked on, none of that. You're not combing your hair, cutting your nails, putting any, you're not hunting animals, you're not trying to, you're just leaving everything as it is. You're not getting married, you're totally dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're coming to Him in the most simple and natural of forms. That's the idea of ihram. Meaning you're going to leave dunya, completely leave dunya, everything that has to do with your worldly life, just leave it and come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the most humble and simple of ways. That's the idea of ihram. So you're not allowed to do these things that are simple symbols of us taking care of our worldly day-to-day life. Like you wake in the morning, of course you're going to comb your hair, trim your beard. No, none of that. That's why if you want to do udhiyah during those 10 days, you shouldn't cut your nails or trim your beard or cut your hair, right? If you decide at the beginning of Dhul Hijjah that I want to do udhiyah on the 10th day, it's sunnah for you not to do any of that. That's the sunnah for you not to do. And it's just kind of coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the very humble and natural form of who you are. So these are the things that are considered to be haram during Hajj.
Would there be any issue with just kind of like washing your hair and putting it into the shape?
No, that's fine. Again, combing is not something that everyone agrees to. Like it's only the Shafiee that say that. And the logic behind it is that if you're someone who sheds a lot of hair, if you comb a lot of hair falls out, so let's leave it. If you're someone that your hair doesn't fall out, then you can do one brush or maybe with your hair. That's fine, But cutting your hair is what is definite. You can't cut your nails. No fragrances. No hunting. No signing of a marriage contract. Sexual intercourse with your wife or any foreplay with your wife at all. None of that stuff is okay. And covering, you're not even covering the head, right, or the face. So just coming naturally. This is just be. So are you allowed to carry an umbrella? You can carry an umbrella. You don't have to get a sunstroke. But you're not wearing a hat or an imam or a turban or any form of, because hats are ways for groups to kind of express themselves, having small little toques. No. So none of that. Just come without any expression of your background whatsoever.
And that would also include like not using your ihram to put it over your head, right?
Yeah, so you don't use your ihram to cover your head. Some scholars are okay with that, but most of them are not. So umbrellas are fine, right? Umbrellas are better. You can just, When it comes to the harm of the sun, there's a lot of different, there are different opinions that allow you to, if it's because of that, if it's because the sun is so bad and you're afraid of getting harmed by the sun, then you can cover your head. There's different opinions. The umbrella is the best. The umbrella is the one that they all agree to, and it's probably the best idea because it covers more than one person and it actually helps everyone. Okay, so these are the things that are haram for someone who's in ihram. وَفِي جَمِيعِ ذَلِكَ al-fidya. And if you do any of these things during Hajj, then you owe fidya, you owe blood. And we'll talk about that in a second. So you owe to do hadi or a fidya.
But it doesn't invalidate the Hajj.
See, if you just wait for a second and you've got the answer. إِلَّا عَقْدَ النِّكَاحِ فَإِنَّهُ لَا يَنْعَقِدْ. Except when you do a marriage contract, that marriage contract is not valid. It doesn't count. So you're not really married. So if you marry someone during Hajj, and you do everything, all the arkan, doesn't count. It's not a valid marriage. You have to go do it elsewhere after Hajj again, and you owe blood. وَلَا يُفْسِدُهُ إِلَّا الْوَطْءُ فِي الْفَرْجِ. And the only thing that will invalidate and nullify your Hajj is, where are the drums? Is sexual intercourse with your wife. Will nullify your Hajj. So your Hajj is done. So you go home. وَلَا يَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ بِالْفَسَادِ. And you don't go home when you nullify it. You continue your Hajj and you owe it again next year. Right? So you continue your Hajj. You have to be there to the end. You have to do everything like everyone else, but it doesn't count. You have to do it next year. So you're like, oh, I did it, so can I go home now? It's like the 10th day. No, you stay until you're done. You continue your Hajj fully, or else you're sinful. Alayka ithim. You're going to carry a lot of sin. So you can continue your Hajj. You come back and try again next year, and try this time not to sleep with your wife during Hajj. You just wait for 3 days and then go ahead and enjoy yourself as much as you want after. So, but this is important because this makes a difference. Knowing that this is completely unacceptable, because sometimes people won't be. Well, you're like, well, how that can happen? Oh, if you live in Mecca, you don't have to sleep in Mina. You can go and spend Mina, and there's like a hukum, a ruling specific for people of Mecca. You can go to Mina for one night or for a simple period, and then you can go sleep at home. You can go sleep at home. So if you go sleep at home, there's a high likelihood, there's a likelihood, there's some possibility that you end up having relations with your wife. So no, if you have relations with your wife, you nullify your Hajj, and you have to owe it to do it again next year. Yes.
You said no foreplay. Like, what if you're just like, I don't know, you're holding your wife's hands and thoughts come to you and then you just feel some desire. That's not going to count. No. Mubashara
bishahwa is you're doing something that is usually considered something that happens before intercourse or before relations. But holding that, sometimes you have to hold your, else you guys get lost and then it's a nightmare. So no, it's important. Okay. وَمَنْ فَاتَهُ, let's continue. I think that's enough for discussion regarding these. وَمَنْ فَاتَهُ الْوُقُوفُ بِعَرَفَةٍ تَحَلَّلَ بِعَمَلِ عُمْرَةٍ وَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاءُ وَالْهَدِي. Now, what happens if we miss a rukn? Who can remind me of the arkan of Hajj one more time? So the first rukn is al-ihram, right? Just doing ihram. It's an obligation to do it from miqat. Second rukn is Arafah. Third rukn is tawaf. Fourth rukn is sa'i, right? Fifth rukn, what else? Halq, correct? So these are the arkan of Hajj. So if you miss a rukn, right, what do you need to do in tartib for the Shafi'iyya? What do you do? So first of all, we talk about Arafah, and then we talk about the rest of the pillars or the arkan. If you miss Arafah, وَمَنْ فَاتَهُ الْوُقُوفُ بِعَرَفَةٍ تَحَلَّلَ بِعَمَلِ عُمْرَةٍ. You get out of Hajj by performing a Umrah. So you go tawaf and sa'i and halq. So you do the three things of Umrah. If you remember, what are these are the four pillars of Umrah is ihram, tawaf, sa'i and halq. So you've already done ihram obviously, but you missed Arafah. So you continue, you get out of Hajj by doing a Umrah, by doing tawaf and sa'i, and then doing halq after that. وَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاء. And you have to make up for it next year. You have to do it again, because since you missed, you entered with the ihram of Hajj and you missed the most important rukn that has a timing. Arafah has a timing, right? Has from the Fajr of the 9th day to the Fajr of the 10th day. So it has 24 hours, as long as you get there. That's why we talked about it a lot at the beginning, and you guys got confused, but that's important. If you catch it any time, then you got your Hajj. If you come in the 10th day after Fajr, you missed Arafah altogether, what do? Your Hajj is gone, you have to come back next year and do it again, but you have to get out of your Hajj by doing a Umrah. You have to complete a Umrah. وَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاءُ وَالْهَدِي. And you owe to do it again, Qada, so next year, and Hadi, and you owe blood. So you have to do Hadi. Alright.
What if you, like, for example, you can't afford to do it the next year? Would you just, like,
whenever you can? So you do it whenever you can. Like,
you wouldn't have to, like, for every year that you miss it, you don't have to, like, sacrifice.
No. Just you have to do it again. وَمَنْ تَرَكَ رُكْنًا لَمْ يَحِلَّ مِنْ إِحْرَامِهِ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَ بِهِ. And if you leave any other rukn, like the tawaf or the sa'i or the or the halq, you leave any of those, then you cannot leave Hajj, you can't finish Hajj until you get it. You go back and do it. You have to go back and you have to do it. حتى يأتي به. So and that's the same thing within Salah, right? So your Salah, you have to repeat the rak'ah if you can't go back and get one of the pillars. So if you miss a pillar, you have to go back and do it. So if you miss the Tawaf al-Ifada, then you have to go back and you have to get it regardless, or your Hajj is not done yet. You're still in Ihram. You're still Muhrim until you go get Tawaf al-Ifada. وَمَنْ تَرَكَ وَاجِبًا لَزِمَهُ الدَّمُ. And if you leave a wajib, any wajib, purposefully or by mistake, you owe blood, you owe hadi. وَمَنْ تَرَكَ سُنَّةً لَمْ يَلْزَمْهُ بِتَرْكِهَا شَيْءٍ. And if you leave a sunnah, then you owe nothing. So it's important that you know what the arkan are, what the wajibat are, and what the sunan are. I may at the end, I think we went through them well enough. You can go through the matn. There are, like I said, 2 or 3 that have some mistakes, if you want to call them mistakes in the matn, in terms of what the Shafi'iyya say. Make sure that you know them, and then you should be able to identify what are arkan, what are wajibat, and what are sunan within Hajj. Now, fasl. No, yes, go ahead. Okay, good. So
I was just going to say that. So if you missed one of the arkan before Arafah, you can still go back and fix those ones. But if it's anything after Arafah, it's done. You owe a fidya, and you have to make your Hajj next year.
No, if you miss Arafah,
like let's say Arafah didn't happen yet, because it said that like we were supposed to do these in the proper order, bitartib, and sa'i comes before Arafah. Let's say for some reason somebody
sa'i comes before Arafah?
No. I don't know, maybe I just had it wrong in my...
No, sa'i doesn't come before Arafah. Go back to the beginning. So the tartib of the Shafi'iyya that we talked about is ihram, wuquf bi'arafah, tawaf, sa'i and halq. So sa'i comes later. So Arafah is the first one after ihram. If you get it, you get it. If you miss it, then that's it. You do Umrah and come back next year and you owe blood. If you don't miss Arafah, continue. If you miss another rukn, go back and do it. You miss sa'i, go back and do sa'i, and then you can finish your Hajj.
So, بعد Arafah, tawaf ziyarah, and then sa'i, and then halq.
Yeah. So if you miss any of those, get them, and then you can get out of your Hajj. If you miss any of them, you owe blood, obviously. Even if you missed and any other, you have to go back and get them, and then you owe blood. If you miss a wajib, like Rami al-Jamarat, like if you miss Tawaf al-Wada', like if you miss al-Mabit al-Muzdalifa or Mabit al-Mina, then you owe blood, then you don't have to go back. Don't go back and do anything. If you miss a sunnah, then you miss a sunnah, just go on, like it's no problem.
So technically the only rukn you could fix is the state of ihram, because you said they could do tamattu, and then that's how you get around it. Like if they were living...
Doing tamattu doesn't get you around ihram. It just gets you not out of doing ihram from the miqat. Like you do ihram, but you just do it in Mecca instead of going and doing it in the right place. So you owe blood, that's all. But you don't get out of doing ihram, you still have to do ihram.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're just getting out of doing it in the right place, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, وَالدِّمَاءُ الْوَاجِبَةِ فِي الْإِحْرَامِ. First of all, let's talk about, before we do this, let's talk about تَحَلُّلُ الْأَصْغَرِ وَالتَّحَلُّلُ الْأَكْبَرِ. These are important things. So for you to get out of Hajj, there are 2 steps. It's called tahallul. I'm not sure exactly. Tahallul is becoming halal and becoming no longer muhrim. You're not in a state of ihram, not haram, but a state of ihram. I mean, you're not dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala anymore in the sense of what Umrah and Hajj mean in terms of dedication. So you're going to get out of the state of ihram. There are 2 steps to get out of the state of ihram. One called tahallul al-asghar, and one called At-Tahallul Al-Akbar. So I'm going to put them down and we'll talk about them. So At-Tahallul, which is getting out of the state of Ihram, so you can go home and you can finish, into two categories. At-Tahallul Al-Asghar, or Al-Awwal, they call it the first, or At-Tahallul Al-Akbar, or the second, the Thani. All right. So I'm going to talk about what the Shafi'iyya, Hanabiya and Malikiyya say, and then the Hanafiyya have a different opinion, just because this is something that you may find important. So the Shafi'iyya, the Hanabiya and the Malikiyya, you have to do 2 out of 3 things. What are the 3 things? It's either Rami, Nahr and Halq. If you do 2 out of those 2 out of those 3, then you've done Tahallul Asghar. What does that mean? That you can do all these things except this one. Right? This one is still off limits. Sexual intercourse is still off limits, but everything else you can do. So once you're done Nahr and Rami Jamrat al-Aqaba, then you can do Tahallul, that's Tahallul Asghar. You can wear clothing again, you can cover your head, you can comb your hair, you can cut your nails, you can put fragrances, right? So 2 out of 3 things need to be done in order for you to be doing Tahallul Asghar. For the Shafi'iyya, it's going to fall down.
Would it be more encouraged not to do Hajj with your wife so that?
No. No, you're not encouraged. You're encouraged to do it with your wife, of course. 2 out of 3. What are the 2 out of 3? Rami, throwing the stones. Nahr, doing the hadi if you owe hadi, right? And halq. 2 out of the 3, and you've done tahallul asghar, or the smaller tahallul, the smaller tahallul.
According to all 3 except Hanabila?
Yeah, except the Hanafiyya. This is going to fall. I don't know what's happening here. That's a bit too, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. That should be good. I don't think it's clear like that. I have to push it up. Can you push it up a bit? Like this way. Push it up. Yeah. Perfect. Khas, perfect. Jazakallah khair. So Hanafiyya, it's Rami, throwing the Jamarat, and Halq. You have to do Rami and Halq. Now when you do these things, what do you get? What's okay here? Everything but sexual intercourse. So all these are fine except sexual, you can't do that. Okay? So that's Tahallul Akbar. Tahallul Asghar, sorry. Tahallul Akbar. So if Tahallul Akbar for the Hanafi and the Malikiyya, you have to add to that. For them you have to add, the Hanafi and the Malikiyya say, you have to add Tawaf al-Ifada. So if you do Rami and Halq and Tawaf al-Ifada, or Rami and Nahr and Tawaf al-Ifada for the Maliki, then you're good to Tahallul Akbar, and then now you can do whatever you want. Now for the Shafi'iyya and the Hanabi, you have to do 3 out of 3 plus Tawaf al-Ifada. So the 3 plus Tawaf al-Ifada. So these 3 plus Tawaf al-Ifada, and then you're done Tahallul Akbar. And now, what's okay? Everything's okay now. So now everything plus. Okay?
Sorry, for Maliki and the Malikis and the Hanafis, what was it?
Tawaf al-Ifada plus what they had talked about, like just add to what they said. So for the Hanafi, add Rami and Halq. For the Maliki, when you do 2, add to a Tawaf al-Ifada, and you're out, and you're in Tahallul Akbar.
I could have sworn you said Shafiee and Hanabila, the 3 plus Tawaf al-Ifada.
So Hanafi and Maliki are together for the Tahallul Akbar. They just need to add to their criteria Tawaf al-Ifada. The Shafi'i and the Hanabila need 1, 2, 3, 4. Need 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4. Hanafis need 3, Rami, Halq, and Tawaf al-Ifada. Again, these are detailed stuff. For me, just keep it as a piece of information. It may one day, if you're doing Hajj, this may come in handy in terms of knowing when you're done Tahallul or not. And then of course, now you completely leave Hajj, you have to finish everything to finish Hajj completely. But if you've done these things, you're in tahallul, meaning we can dress, you can, but you're still in Hajj until you finish everything in Hajj, obviously. Because if you still owe something, let's say you still don't do halq yet, or you haven't done a nahr yet, then you do that, you're still in Hajj. Okay. So we have like a few more minutes. Let me just start with والدماء الواجبة في الإحرام خمسة أشياء. There are 5. Remember, every once in a while I tell you, you owe blood, you owe blood, you owe blood. So what is this? So he talks about what the type of blood, the bloods that are,
What about doing Hajj for someone else?
If you've done it for yourself, yes. So if you've done Hajj for yourself and like you have a parent who has passed away and they haven't done Hajj, you can do Hajj for them. No, that's totally fine. It's actually a good thing to do. My dad, I think, did Hajj for both his parents. He did 3 Hajj in his life, one for himself and then one for his mom, one for his dad. And he wanted to do more, like for relatives who never made it, especially people who live in our countries. I know we're very close to the Haram, but it's very hard for people to go to Hajj because it's so expensive and they're so poor. It's just very hard to get to do Hajj.
Actually, like a few years ago, my parents were planning and would have applied, but my father passed away.
Rahimahullah. So, there you go.
So,
Do a Hajj for yourself and then do Hajj for him.
But my brother went with my mom and he hadn't done Hajj before.
Yeah, so they differ whether you can do Hajj for someone when you haven't done it for yourself. I take the opinion very strongly that you have to do Hajj for yourself first, and then you can do Hajj for someone else after that.
Actually, he went for his father, my father.
He hasn't done Hajj yet for himself, so he has to do Hajj again for himself.
For himself?
Yeah. So, or the opposite, or that one will count for him, and then he has to do one for himself. Either way. So, but now he owes a Hajj because he made an ambiguous intention at the beginning of the first one, so he owes a Hajj 100%. He has to do Hajj again. But tell him to do Hajj again as soon as he can, inshallah. May Allah accept from him, inshallah. So, with الدماء الواجبة في الإحرام خمسة أشياء. There are 5 different dima, meaning you owe blood in Hajj for 5 different reasons. So there's 5 reasons for you to end up needing to owe hadi. It's called hadi.
Can you go ahead for someone who is still alive?
They differ on that heavily. The person would have to be very, very sick, meaning.
What if they're poor or like something other than
poor? You hope that inshallah they. See, if they're poor, that means it's not a fard on them, right? So why would you do something for someone that's not even fard upon? They don't have to do it if they're poor. So if they're poor, that it's not upon them to do it, so you don't have to do it for them. If they're sick and they're wealthy and they can do it, some scholars, it's a heavy debate. Some of them say, إن كان يرجى شفاؤه ننتظر. If there's some hope of him getting better, we wait. And if he passes away, do it for him after he passes away. And if there's no hope at all, some scholars, I'm not sure the percentage anymore. I think modern scholars are okay with you doing it for someone who is elderly who cannot do Hajj, meaning you cannot take him physically and carrying him around. He can't do it. You're okay to do it for them. But what's the difference? Just wait for them to pass away. You can do it after they're dead, because there's no difference of opinion on that. Yeah.
Some people do Umrah for other people.
Yeah, that's okay too.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And
That's
what
fine.
about Hajj? Can't we do the Hajj at the same time for someone else?
Umrah is sunnah. You can do sunnah. In an action of sunnah, you can add 2 or 3 different intentions at the same time. In an act of rukn or fard, you can't add more than 1 intention at the same time. You can't pray. When you do sunnah, you can add 3, 4 intentions. That's how recommended actions work. They're much more flexible with their intentions. But fard and rukn, no, you can't. Just how it is.
Is niyyah not a rukn?
Well, ihram, that's what niyyah is. For Hajj, ihram is what niyyah is. So So ihram is personified. Niyyah is personified. So niyyah is turned into an activity. In Hajj, it's called ihram. So like this niyyah is a shart for the Hanafi and everything. Ihram is shart for the Hanafi and Hajj because it's niyyah to them. It's the same thing. But it's just called ihram for Hajj. So والدماء الواجبة في الإحرام 5 أشياء. So 5 reasons for you to owe blood. So 5 reasons. To owe blood, and I say blood because that's how the fuqaha call it, alayhi dam. But in English, it sounds really barbaric. It means you owe hadi, owe blood after in Hajj. Yeah, sacrifice, I think, is a better word. Thank you. In Hajj. So the first one, he says, Imam, أحدهما الدم الواجب بترك النسك. Dam al-wajib, meaning the sacrifice that is obligatory when you leave a nusuk, when you leave one of the wajibat of Hajj, or you leave a rukn of Hajj and have to go back and get it. right? So if you leave one of those things, you have to, if it's a rukn, you have to go back and get it, and then you owe a sacrifice. And or you leave a wajib, you don't have to go back and get it, but you owe a wajib for it. فإن لم يجد وهو على الترتيب, and in sequence what you're obligated to do. Shah, what is a shah? Go to a sheep. Right? We talked about that in zakah. So a shatun, you owe a shah. فإن لم يجد, if you can't find or you can't afford, right? You can't find it because sometimes there's no more left. There's so many people sacrificing, there's nothing left. Or if you can't afford it, فصيام 10 أيام, then you fast 10 days. ثلاثة في الحج, 3 of them during Hajj time, like the 10th, 11th, 12th, or the 11th, 12th, and 13th day, or even before that, like the 8th and 9th day, you can do that. وسبعة إذا رجع إلى أهله, and 7 if he goes home. There's a long discussion on how you do if you don't. Let's say you can't do any of them during Hajj because it's so tiring, so you have to do 10 when you go home. But would you leave? Do you do 10 all at once? You do 3 and then leave a couple of days and do 7. There's a long discussion amongst scholars I don't want to get into, but you have to do 10 days of siyam. Preferably 3 during Hajj and 7 when you go back home. So the first dam that is for leaving, an obligatory action or a pillar. So a pillar, that of course you have to go back and do it, obviously, for his Hajj to count in the first place. So what you do for this, first of all, by sequence, you do shah, a sheep, and then after that, if you can't afford that, 10 days of fasting. 3 during Hajj and 7 after. So 3 during Hajj and 7 after, or 10 after Hajj if you don't make 3 during Hajj, and that's okay too. All right. Okay, it's 9:07. I think we should.
During Hajj?
So 3 days during Hajj.
Fasting?
Yeah, 8, 9, 11, 12, or 13.
Isn't it haram to fast those days?
Only the 10th day you can't fast, right?
Oh.
Yeah, 11, 12, and 13th are remember we talked about the siyam. We said that most scholars say it's haram, some scholars say it's makruh, but for the Hajj who has this, he can do it 11, 12, and 13th. Just for the guy who's doing Hajj who can't do a shah, most people can easily do a sheep. Like most people can find somehow. Anyways, but if you can't for some reason, then that's what you need to do. I don't know anyone who's ever done that. I don't know anyone. Everyone will, yeah.
Where do those sheep come from? Millions.
Oh well, yeah, you don't know Saudi Arabia very well. That's all they have. It's just sheep and goats and cattle and camels.
Grow there?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, and they're shepherds. That's like a lot of the enormous amounts of livestock in the country. Okay. والثاني, the second situation, الدم الواجب بالحلق والترفه. So blood that you owe for cutting your hair or doing anything of luxury, like putting fragrances or cutting your nails or something like that. وهو على التخيير. Here it is optional. It's optional. الشاه أو صوم 3 أيام, or fasting 3 days. أو التصدق ب3 آصع على 6 مساكين, or giving charity. 3 آصع, each صاع is 2.5 kilos. So 3 times 3, that's 7.5 kilos. You give to 6 masakin. Right, so you can choose. This is tartib. This one and then that one. If you can't find a shah, then you can do. You can't choose. If I want to do a shah or I want to do 10 days of siyam. No, you do this first if it's available. If it's not and you can't afford it, then you do that. But in the second situation, it's a bit different. Second situation. This is for cutting your hair or performing any of these ones. That, of course, not talking about this here. So fragrance, cutting nails, stuff like that, right? Cutting your hair or nails or putting fragrance. Tarafuh, covering your head. a woman covering her face, stuff like that. So what do you do in this situation? You choose between shah, fasting 3 days during Hajj or after, or 7.5 kilograms for 6 people. Of what? Of staple food crops. Right? We talked about staple food crops, and you guys know what we're talking about. So qamh, sha'ir, bur, whatever. Make sense? So this is for cutting your hair or nails or putting fragrance or any form of luxury actions. Then you owe either a shah or fasting 3 days or 7.5 kilograms to fuqara. Okay? Here it's tartib. You do this and then you do that. I mean, you look for this and then if you can't find it, you do that. Here you can choose whatever you want. والثالث الدم الواجب بإحصار فيتحلل ويهدي شاه.
With the feeding the masakin, does it matter what type of food it is?
Staple food crops. Yeah, just stick to that. Again, it's an all issue of discussion in madhab. For not making it for Hajj. So let's say you make the ihram, and on your way to the haram, you're wearing a ihram, and they tell you can't do Hajj. And you're like, I'm here, I'm wearing a ihram, I'm ready to do Hajj. And it's Arafah, I want to make it to Arafah, and the government or illness or a problem, something happens, you can't make it to Arafah, and you miss Arafah. And you missed Hajj because of a musibah that happened, or it's called ihsar. You were held back from doing Hajj. It happened to the Prophet ﷺ when he went to do Umrah. Right? He went to do Umrah and they told him you can't enter Mecca that year, and they wrote Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. That year they wrote the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and they were wearing ihram, ready to do Hajj, ready to do Umrah, and they couldn't do Umrah. So of course, so how do you get out of it? فَيَتَحَلَّلْ وَيُهْدِي شَاهْ. فَيَتَحَلَّل means you do tahallul. Right, tahallul for Umrah or tahallul for Hajj, he can't do Rami, he can't do Nahr, you can do Nahr and Halq. Remember when we talked about tahallul a second ago? So there's Nahr and Halq as something, those are the two things that they can do. So he does the two things that he can do. What are the two things that you can do? You can do sacrifice, Shah plus Halq. So you do Shah plus. And the Prophet ﷺ, he told people, we're going back to Hallalu. No one did anything. They all stood by, totally upset that they couldn't do Umrah. So he said it again, no one listened. The first time he actually commands them and they don't listen to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They just kind of everyone look around. Like they don't want to say no, but they're like really upset. So he goes into his tent and he says, يَوْمَ اسْتَلَمَ هَلَكَ قَوْمُكِ يَأْمُرُهُمْ نَبِيُّهُمْ وَلَا يُطِيعُونَ. Your people are walking down a path of punishment. Their prophet is commanding them, they're not listening. فَقَالَ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ هَوِّنْ عَلَيْكَ اخْرُجْ أَمَامَهُمْ فَاحْلِقْ وَانْحَرْ. Take it easy. Go outside. You do it. Shave your head and انحر هدي فيلحقونك. So he says okay. So he listens to her. So he goes out and he calls someone and he cuts his hair, shaves his head, and he does the nahr, and all the Sahaba do it. فيقولون فكانت أبرك النساء مشورة على زوجها. She was the most barakah of women with her good advice to her husband. رضي الله عنه. She saved the Sahaba that day. The Sahaba say, Salama, Jazakallah khair, you saved us that day. We literally were told to do something by the Prophet ﷺ, and we said no. Or didn't say no, we didn't do it. Like we just, like, you understand the idea? They hadn't seen Mecca in 10 years, or 6 years, 7 years. They wanted to go do Umrah. They were wearing ihram, you know what I mean? And no, you can't go. And we're not going. And they're like, why can't we go? Like it was just this feeling that it's not fair, right? So it's not like they weren't disobeying as openly. It was just this bad, hard feeling. It's hard to swallow. So she told them, just do it, Ya Rasulullah, in front of them, then they'll do it with you. So when he did it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everyone did it with him. And that was ihsar, and that's you do halq and shah. Forgive me, I want to finish let me just finish these. There's just two more left. They're simple. والرابع الدم الواجب بقتل الصيد. So for killing, for hunting and killing an animal. For hunting and killing an animal. So if you hunt and you kill an animal, وهو على التخيير إن كان الصيد مما له مثل أخرج المثل من النعم أو قومه واشترى بقيمته طعاما وتصدق به أو صام عن كل مد يوما. وإن كان الصيد مما لا مثل له أخرج بقيمته طعاما أو صام عن كل مد يوما. So this I just have to explain this in a second. It's not very difficult. So if he has a choice of doing one of two things. Either if what he hunted was something that you can find. So if you hunted a cow, a wild cow, so there's other cows. So he gives sadaqah a cow, whatever it is that he hunted. أو قومه, or he can see how much does it cost. I hunted a cow. What does it cost? It cost like $1,000. So I give out اشترى بقيمته طعاما وتصدق. You buy staple food crops with $1,000 and you give it sadaqah for everyone, for فقراء يعني. أو صام عن كل مد يوما, or you see how much it's worth. If it was $1,000, how many mud can $1,000 buy? Right? How many mud can it buy? And then you fast a day for each mud. Right? Understanding the idea here? So either you hunted a wild cattle, either you get another one and you give it, you do nahr and you do hadi, that's what you slaughter, or you see how much it costs and then you buy food and give it sadaqah, stable food crops to everyone, to fuqara, or you see how much it costs, how many mud, which is an amount of, I forgot the number, salaha, what is mud? Look up mud for me a second. We just
like 2 handfuls times 2, or is it?
Yeah, but we had it down like in when we did siyam, they gave me the numbers. I never remember these things anymore.
Words, wouldn't it be like how long it will take you to eat a cow if you slaughter a cow?
Sorry?
Wouldn't it basically mean how long it will take you to eat?
Yeah, so 600 grams. 600 grams. So how many 600 grams of staple food crops can this amount of money that buy? And then you fast for a day for each mud. Right? So you can choose what you want to do here. Of course, the easiest thing is to see how much it costs and then buy food and give it to people. That's the easiest choice. The siyam is very difficult because sometimes if you get a gazelle, and then it's going to cost, or you get a cow. Usually, wild cattle are actually very expensive. So for you to see how many mud of food you could have bought with its worth, you're going to end up fasting like 2 or 3 months. Easy. وإن كان من الصيد مما لا مثل له. So you hunted something that there's no equivalent to. Like a deer, and deer is not from the an'am. Right, so that you can't. It's not a cow. It's a deer. So أخرج بقيمته طعاما. And then you don't have the choice of slaughtering another deer and giving it because it's not hadi. A cow, you can slaughter a cow and then give it as hadi, as a sacrifice and give it. But a deer, you can't do that. So you just see how much does it cost, right? And then you take that money, you buy food and you give it as sadaqah. أو صام عن كل مد يوما. Or you see how many mud it could buy and then you fast for each day. Does that make sense? It's very, very rare now. I don't think it's important. Don't ask me any questions about this. If you go to Hajj and you hunt something, come back. I want to give you I'm going to give you a big hug and a ja'iza, because I don't think anyone in the last maybe 200 years has actually done sayd during Hajj. I mean, who's hunting in Mecca? Like, I imagine Mecca today. What is there to hunt? People? That's murder and you're going to go to jail. But there's really nothing for you to hunt. Maybe if you're obsessed with birds, then that's a different thing. But there's really nothing for you to hunt in Mecca. So it's not really. It's less.
What do people eat then?
What?
What do people eat? Like, if you get slaughtered.
You can't. You don't hunt. Don't be hunting as a muhrim. Other people can feed you. Yeah. No, so other people can hunt for you and feed you. You just can't. As a muhrim, you shouldn't be hunting. That's something of dunya. The final one, والخامس الدم الواجب بالوطء, for sexual intercourse. So if you sleep with your wife, because that's its own category, what do you all? وهو على الترتيب, and here there's no takhir. You're not being given options. You have to choose one. You have to go in the following order. And if one doesn't exist, then you go to the next one. If that one doesn't exist, you go to the next one. So this one here, it was. I'm not going to go into much detail. It was optional. Here it's not optional. وهو على الترتيب بدنه فإن لم يجدها فبقرة فإن لم يجدها فسبع من الغنم. بدنه, a camel.
For pregnant or for both?
That's a good question. It's one of the pages of khilaf, whether for the woman and the woman or just for the man. And they differ on that in terms of what her opinion was about this and chichi. So I'm not going to get into that. Come on, but just know, camel, if not a cow, if not 7 sheep. Expensive. That's the most expensive time you sleep with your wife by far. You owe a camel for that one. And a Hajj the next year. And ism and sin. So yeah. فإن لم يجدها قوم البدن واشترى بقيمتها طعاما وتصدق به فإن لم يجد صام عن كل مد يوما. So here, if you can't find these, then they're worth in charity, staple food crops, and if not, fast for every 600 grams. A camel. How much does a camel go for these days?
Half a mil? 250.
Camels are pretty expensive back there. Okay, so if you can't find that, then you have to, because these are similar in, so let's say you don't find you can't afford a camel, you can't 7 sheep, then you have to see how much their worth are. If you can't afford that, then you see how much the worth is, and then you fast for every 600 grams. So if you go to Hajj, be very careful in terms of your relations with your wife.
How much is the camel?
I don't know anymore. I don't know. I used to know these things. I don't know. Okay. We're done. There's like 3 words for this whole chapter to finish. Let me just read them. They're simple. وَلَا يُجْزِئُهُ الْهَدْيُ وَلَا الْإِطْعَامُ إِلَّا بِالْحَرَمِ. And you're only allowed to do hadi and charity in the haram. So it has to be done for the people of Mecca. If the people of Mecca are saturated, then they can give it to other people. But you have to do it for the people, the poor people of Mecca. وَلَا يُجْزِئُ الْهَدِي وَالْإِطْعَامِ وَلَا الْإِطْعَامِ إِلَّا بِالْحَرَمِ وَيُجْزِئُهُ أَنْ يَصُومَ حَيْثُ شَاءَ. And as far as for fasting, he can fast anywhere he wants. So when it comes to this and the worth, they have to be given to the poor people of Mecca. If Mecca is saturated, and it will be if all the Hajjis do it, then Mecca itself takes that that worth, that money, and can give it to, but you have to give it to Mecca. So Mecca gets to, so the county of Mecca gets to control how this is going to be done, not you. You give it to Mecca, and the Mecca does what it wants. And that's the qadr of al-balad al-haram. ولا يجوز قتل صيد الحرم ولا قطع شجره. And you're not allowed if you hunt an animal in haram to slaughter it, and you're not allowed to cut any trees in the haram. So it's all telling you, when you go to the haram, you don't kill an animal, you don't cut a tree, you don't touch anything. Keep things the way they are. Don't even cut your own hair. Just be in your most natural and humble state that you can be. وَالْمُحِلُّ وَالْمُحْرِمُ فِي ذَلِكَ سَوَاء. Whether you are in ihram or not in ihram, you're not allowed to hunt in Mecca, and you're not allowed to kill any animals, and you're not allowed to cut down any trees in Mecca. Period. Does that make sense? And that's the end of the chapter of Hajj. It's pretty, inshallah, you guys learned something from this. Go back and listen to them again if you feel like you want to learn more. And next time I may do a small summary of the arkan and the wajibat and the sunan in a small, maybe presentation, so you guys feel more to connect it to it. But we will start Kitabul Buyu'ah. So this is where most scholars, when they're teaching this matn, they stop. Because now you're done ibadat, you're done the acts of worship, rituals. After this is a whole different thing. Now we enter, so this is interesting. I like doing this because it shows you how different life was back then now, because a lot of these things don't apply today. But I like doing it just because I get to teach things that people probably don't know. And we get to talk about, so we start with buyu'ah. Buyu'ah is selling and buying. So we're going to go into finances, go into tijara, into business, and it's interesting. So we'll start that inshallah next time. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.